Fuck. My brain was like, shh.
Stop.
My brain just stopped working. All right.
I know what's going in the beginning.
I can't fucking do this. It's the last episode of the year. My brain's just like, just quit it, 20. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right, everybody, welcome back to our last episode of Everyday Whiskey of 2020. Some people are going to believe this godforsaken year is over between the pandemics, plagues, fires, earthquakes,
Oh my god.
and the Titans re-emerging from center Earth.
Although,
Me myself had a very good year personally.
yeah, I can't really complain much, but
as a whole,
crazy year.
the planet, not so hot.
No, yeah, and who knows what's to come.
Well, actually,
hopefully better.
Temperature might have went up on the planet with global warming and
Yeah,
everything, but you know what I mean. Okay, now that we get the morbid stuff out of the way, Mike, what are we doing this week?
So this week we decided to recap our most favorite bottles of 2020. Some we just recently acquired, some we've had and just never talked about.
Some have been on some episodes, some haven't. No, actually, none of these.
None of these have
Actually,
been
no,
on.
sorry, none of these have been on episodes.
Yeah. And we just wanted to pick something that we actually really liked and we tried to diversify it as much as we could. So we went with a rye, a bourbon, and a scotch.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we could have done more. We could have done like a Japanese, but that defeats the purpose. The whole purpose of this episode was to just be what our favorite bottles of the year were.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what it was.
And like, to be completely honest, if we're going down that road, like we had the dude bitching about us not doing Canadian whiskey.
Yeah.
It's a rye whiskey, okay?
Yeah.
There's probably some Canadian. It's MGP. I'm sure there's some Canadian rye.
Yeah, there could be.
And Scotch, Japanese whiskey is
Pretty much same thing.
It's
almost.
close enough to
Some of
Scotch.
them are.
But no, these are just bottles that stood out in our minds that we didn't feature on episodes, so we wanted it to be new content. And obviously, one of them is from we'll go through it.
Yeah.
So we got Angel's Envy Bourbon, which Mike recently acquired at Christmas.
Yes, this was a Christmas gift for me from my cousins, and I, believe it or not, as big as bourbon as big as we are into bourbon, I have actually never had Angel's Envy before. I cracked this on Christmas. I can't talk about it. I don't know. It's the end of the year. I'm excited to move into another hellish year. So
yeah.
But anyway, I had this for the first time on Christmas, and I was blown away. I can now see why it was super sought after.
Yeah.
And it's definitely dethroned Eagle Rare as my #1 whiskey, and it is worth
Which is
every
impressive
penny.
because that's been your favorite bourbon for like 6 years.
It has, because it's such a good price point, it's such a good bottle, and I recommend it to everyone who's just starting out, but I might have to start recommending this. I mean, it is
at a higher price point.
It is a little higher. I have seen this on the shelves anywhere from $45 to $60 though.
$60 is more of like...
That's usually as high as... I've never seen it above $60, but I will say, whether it's $45 or $60, it's worth every penny.
And then we got the Garden State Distillery. Shout out to our buddy Rick over there.
Garden State, represent.
We have their River Rye, which was, honestly, it was a happy accident.
It was, and again, this just happened 2 weeks ago.
And I'm not going to tell you the story about how River Rye came to be. I think you guys need to go to Garden State Distillery and stop in there and have Rick or one of the great bartenders there tell you the story themselves of why this product actually is on your shelves.
Yes.
Or is on the shelves at the distillery. And the last bottle is, you people know Glenlivet. So the Glenlivet 15yr is my top 3 scotches of all time, and it was whiskey storked by one of our friends to the channel. So this was a donation. So if anybody's got any bottles that they want us to review, you'd be more than welcome to send them our way. Or we'll buy them if you have a good recommendation. But
you don't even have to send us a bottle. You could put it in something else, send us a sample.
Yeah, samples, anything like that.
Or send us the bottle, we'll send it back, or send it to us to keep.
Yeah,
we don't care.
We'll review anything. But all right, enough talking Angel's Envy. So it's your bottle, you pour it.
Enough talking, more drinking.
Enough talking, more drinking.
So Dan actually had the opportunity to go down to Angel's Envy, which is really cool. Yeah,
that was cool. So Angel's Envy was like the most technologically updated distillery that we visited.
I'm going a little heavy.
The fans that cool down the distillery literally called the Big Ass Fan. It's called the Big Ass Fan Company, which was the funniest thing we saw. But Angel's Envy, brown-formed product, they were one of the first distilleries to really get behind cask finishing.
I haven't seen the bottle.
So cask finishing,
Angel Wings.
if you don't know what it means, originated in Scotland. It's basically taking the bourbon from your American oak barrel and transferring it into a wine barrel or a cognac barrel or any other type of vessel.
Port in this case.
So yeah, port is what they use. They use port and they use rum cask for their rye. But the distillery is really cool, and like they get, like the tour they give you is super elaborate. They go into details. You go and visit their website. You can go into more detail than I can.
And the bottle, there's a particular reason for this, but isn't this an old
it's an old
medicinal
bottle? So
Angel's
Envy basically, the brand is very young. Yes, I think it's 15 years old.
Oh, I thought it was in the late
mid 2000s. I could be wrong, mid 2000s thing, but this was supposed to be a replica of what was like medicinal bottles back in the 30s, 40s, 20s, in that era. But the real thing is they call it Angel's
Prohibition era.
Prohibition era.
Yeah.
But the real thing, they call it Angel's Envy because the amount of whiskey in the barrel that evaporates over a duration of the aging process is called the angel share. It evaporates up to the heavens. So what's left in the whiskey is the angel's envy because it's better than the angel's share.
Yep.
So this is better than what the angels are drinking.
So it's kind of like the opposite of Devil's Cut, which you've heard from. Jim Beam's the only brand I think that actually markets as Devil's Cut.
Yeah, but
Devil's Cut is a real term, and that's basically it's the exact opposite. Angel's Envy, or Angel's Share is the whiskey that evaporates. Devil's Cut is the whiskey that, as you can guess, it seeps into the cask.
Yep.
So that's a real thing. That's not just Jim Beam being clever and like getting crafty with their marketing and their wording. Completely true term in the whiskey world, and this is just the complete opposite.
Let's move on to the drinking part. Here, cheers
yes,
to the last episode. Cheers. His nose on. I know. Like I've literally been to the distillery. I don't remember this smelling this good.
Yeah, so until we poured it out, I pretty much took out a quarter.
It's like caramel. It's chocolate. You get a little bit of that port sweetness.
Oh my god,
that really is
so good.
It really is good. This is one of those bottles that is like it's worth like if it lives up to the hype.
It does. It's worth every penny. Yeah. They perfected the port cask aging. I mean, you don't get too much port, but it's not aged too little either. There's they leave it in there just the right amount of time for that sweetness to seep into the bourbon, mellow it out on the back end. And it's almost candy. It's like a candy bourbon. It's
a candied bourbon. Oh, not sponsored by Garden State Distillery, Angel's Envy Bourbon, the Glenlivet, Bell's,
Garden State again,
Michter's, Redwood Empire, or Benriach.
No.
Or Absolute. Got it. I think we nailed it, right?
I think so. This is just a generic sweater.
All right, so let's power through these glasses and we'll move on to the next guy. Because I think we burned a little time in the beginning with the story of Angel's Envy.
Okay.
So that's okay.
It's a cool story. And, it's cool to explain that, like the angel and the devil thing.
And you wouldn't know walking by that it was a distillery. It looks like it's a building in the middle of downtown Louisville.
Yeah.
Just like Michter's isn't a GM auto plant.
Nope. Yes, it is. Oh my god, that's such a good bourbon. I'm trying to savor this, but after tonight, this bottle is being put away, only coming out on special occasions.
I got cherry there.
Even though it's readily available and I can get it.
These are the kind of bourbons.
It's good.
These are the kind of bourbons I like drinking though, because every sip it evolves, it changes. Like it's some dynamic shifts in it.
I like this too. They put the uncorked date that you could fill in.
Oh shit!
So this is really cool. They have a spot where you can put your uncorked thing. So I got it for Christmas and I uncorked at Christmas. That's a really cool little cool thing.
All right, guys. So here, this one is near and dear to our hearts, and maybe near and dear to your hearts if you're from Ocean County.
Yes, sir.
This is the Garden State Distillery River Rye.
And no, Garden State, if you're watching this, we're not kissing up to you. This is truly a phenomenal product.
Yeah, this was truly one of my favorite ryes of the year. Yeah. If you want to go back to I actually posted something on our Instagram and our Facebook and our TikTok actually of how much I love this bottle. I bought it, took it home, and I drank it that night.
Yeah, it's a phenomenal rye.
Maybe it was the next night. Probably the next night.
Perfect. And, as we've said before, we are not very experienced at ryes. We're still breaking out into them. I think this is maybe our fourth or fifth rye.
So, like, the nose in this reminds me of, like, Wild Turkey, where it's, like, very black tea-ish, very herbal, and then you get, like, a little bit of rye bread. A lot of rye bread.
Yeah, there's a lot of rye bread on the back end of the nose, I should say.
Yeah, it literally smells.
And if I recall correctly from the distillery, there should be a lot of rye bread taste, too.
It's just such an easy rye. It's like light in body. The rye bread taste it's not in your face, but it's there, and then you get a little balance of like some like little honey sweetness, and then a little bit of that herbalness you get from that nose. Yeah. And it's just a really mild, easy drinking kickback rye. Like for people who think like rye is like hot and offensive, this is not that rye. No. And I don't remember the proofage on this.
This bottle's honestly
85.
right. This
is 85.
This is honestly right up there with the Angels and the Eagle Rare for me.
It's.
I mean, this is a top contender. This is not a.
And we're not
don't underestimate.
We're not pulling punches here either. Like this was one that Mike and I actually decided on together when we were texting today. Like what bottles want to do. This was one that we both had decided on. It's just like if you think rye whiskey and like to like the uneducated person, like when you say rye whiskey, someone's like, oh, like rye bread, rye seed. That's what this like. That's what this tastes and smells like. It smells like
it's like rye.
Yeah, it literally is like a loaf of rye bread. And like this is an MGP blend too, so
this is a quality product, and I'm putting it right up there with the heavy hitters. You know, Angels, Eagle, any Buffalo Trace product, Weller, Willet. Like this is a top contender.
There's some vanilla there, there's something there. But yeah, like really like kind of get around. There's like a little vanilla note, some sweetness.
I have a bad habit of like roasting my nostrils. Oh yeah,
it's like a light vanilla note. It's just like another one where it just like it changes like subtly. And at 85 proof, it's not crazy hot to the point where you're like kind of blowing out some of those light fragile flavors you might get.
No, not at all.
Because I think if this was a higher proof, like you would probably dump down that rye bread note.
Yeah,
and you'd probably be getting more of that alcohol ethanol.
I would not go any higher proof than this because you're right on that tipping line where a little bit more it's gonna just start to burn a little and it's gonna take away from all that flavor. This hits the mark. It's right in the middle.
But guys,
it's perfect.
Awesome job on the River Rye. Love the product. I can't wait to see what you guys do.
Yes,
Rick, I'm excited for your homegrown bourbon that we got a little test sample of at the distillery.
Yes, we actually were fortunate enough to taste it.
Yeah, so not saying anything else, but everyone be on the lookout when he releases that. It's going to be awesome.
Yes, because right now it's due to COVID, not due to the distillery. It's due to COVID. They had to source MGP bourbon, but they have their own in the making, and it's almost completed. That's truly homegrown. Everything they use in it is grown from Jersey. It's distilled in Jersey. It's the real deal, and it's phenomenal.
All right. Last but not least, See, now
you got it too.
Like, I'm doing it again. The Glenlivet 15yr. So this was Whiskey Stork by our buddy. Glenlivet is one of my favorite Scotch distilleries. I'm not saying my favorite, but it's probably one of the more well-known ones. And this 15yr is, next to Abel or Abuna, it's probably my top 3 as far as Scotches go.
There's a couple bottles we wanted to pick for this, but some of them are just... They're too rare and they're not accessible.
The Octomore is...
You can't get that.
You can't get it. And like,
Weller full proof I wanted to do, you can't get that.
But these are... You can always get these bottles. The River Rye is a limited run, but they have a good amount of supply. And once again, it's a local business. We want you guys to follow them on Instagram, follow them on Facebook, follow all their products they put out. They are constantly posting every day. They put out new releases. Their cocktail menu is amazing. I'm definitely blowing them up a little here, but they deserve it.
And disclaimer, when I say there's other bottles we wanted to do, it's not that these are our second choices. These are still our top choices.
These would make the most sense.
There's just more that we wanted to incorporate, but the more we thought about it, they're not everyday whiskeys, so you can't get
exactly. And if you guys see a bottle back here that you want us to review, just comment the bottle and we'll do a review on it, whether it's on our Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, or we'll do a show on it.
Yeah, definitely. Let us know. We got a lot. I mean, we're going to try to go through them all anyway, eventually, but if you want us to skip to something.
So this is so butterscotch forward.
It is. Wow, that's a good...
Butterscotch, but then the sherry is there, too. Giving a little funk, like a little earthy funk in the back.
It smells like something else.
It's not quite like Werther's butterscotch candy, but it's...
No, this is more of a tame, just a regular... I don't know. I get a lot of things from this nose. It's black tea I get, too, again.
Wait till you try it. So when you try it, black tea becomes the predominant flavor you get out of it. And then the sherry, I think... this is sherry casking, right? Yeah, so French oak, and...
The sherry shows through, though, and I like that.
I'm just double-checking it's actually sherry cast so I don't stick my foot in my mouth. I'm pretty sure it's sherry cast, though.
I hope so, because I'm agreeing with you.
Yeah, I know. It's like it's got this like little funk to it.
Wow.
It doesn't say. We'll look it up. If we're wrong, get back to us. But either way, it's just
there's something else there culminating with that black tea, and it tastes like it tastes like sherry. Based
it's
on
like
all
malt,
the other sherry casks
really
we have,
good like malt sugar though, like big body malt sugar.
But you're right. There is a lot of tea on that. It's good. I like that.
Like I said, we wanted to do a good variety, so we wanted to have a scotch in there.
Yeah.
There are a couple different scotches we could have did, but this is the one that to us made the most sense because number one, we haven't done a lot of Glenlivet on the show, and number two, this bottle is just you could always get this bottle.
I mean, I feel like we hit the nail on the head with the three main food groups: rye, whiskey, scotch. Yeah. Like you can't go wrong. Whiskey/bourbon, but you know it's the same thing. Bourbon is whiskey, but whiskey.
We could have did Irish,
bourbon,
but I feel like rye was.
Yeah, no, rye, whiskey, scotch.
Yeah, exactly.
Those are your three main food groups. I mean, most people are either bourbon or scotch or rye.
It's been a good year though, man. Like we started this channel back in like February.
Yep.
And you know, regardless of followers or traction or
we're sticking with it.
We're sticking with it. And we're just doing this because we want to do this. Yeah. And this makes us happy to do every week. This puts a smile on my face to be able to do this with my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
And
I love doing
it's just
this.
like it's a good break from reality, like momentarily. So
yeah. No, definitely. I completely agree. I would not stop doing this. This is
and like if like we help like one person like get into whiskey or find a whiskey that they like or possibly find their favorite whiskey, or if somebody if we can answer questions for anybody who doesn't know like is this good, is this bad, is this worth it, like how much should I spend on this? Please private inbox us that. We're not going to openly have a conversation on our social media about pricing. That's something that we'll do in private.
Yeah, that once we start including numbers, chances are we're going to have to drop retail names to those numbers.
Which we're not doing.
So we're going to keep that private. But any other questions or just even if simple, is this good, is it bad? Comment. Send us a private message. Call me on my cell. I don't care. Like whatever you want to do.
Yeah, exactly. So like just reach out. We're always going to answer. Mike and I will give an honest answer, whether you like the answer or not. That's entirely on your shoulders.
We're both readily available. I drive around all day long, so my phone's always right there. No, I do not text and drive. Don't do that. But I will see your message come through. I will answer it ASAP.
Exactly. So no, we do this channel.
It's just because we're ready to finish this year.
Yeah, exactly. I just want to finish the year out. We do this channel out of just because we love whiskey. We literally love whiskey and everything to do with it. Every type of whiskey that there's at least a bottle in each genre that we both love or hold near and dear to our heart. And we just want to spread the word of whiskey in a way that is positive and it's attainable and it's easy to digest. That's why we don't go into crazy tasting notes.
Yeah, we stopped the notepads. We figured, you know what? Let's explain it all in layman's terms so it's easy to understand for your average viewer.
And true reviews, no punches pulled.
Nothing.
Honest reviews. Everything that we post is our pictures, our content. We don't take from anybody else. But everybody, we're gonna wrap it up here. I think.
I think so.
Mike, you got anything you want to say at the end of it?
I do. Fuck 2020.
I think that says it all.
Yep.
On that note, that's a
Pam from the office. Yup.
Yep. That's a fucking wrap. Peace out.